miss when YouTubers just did a whole bunch of eyeshadow palette reviews. I love eyeshadow palettes, okay? That is why we're here today. And if you don't know, hi, my name is Lauren. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't gotten a chance, please hit that subscribe button. It would mean the world to me as you help grow my tiny channel together. And if you love eyeshadow palettes, this is the place to be, because you know what? They're not going anywhere, okay? I think eyeshadow palettes are making a comeback. I feel like it's been all about eyeshadow sticks lately, and I get it. I have a bunch of beautiful eyeshadow sticks that I use quite a bit, especially when I'm in a rush, okay? Nothing beats a quick and easy eyeshadow stick, but I love eyeshadow palettes and I love Blend Bunny. So when Blend Bunny announced they were coming out with a second collaboration with Ellis, I knew I wanted to pick something up. And in this case, we picked up two separate palettes. What I liked about this collection is that there was actually a whole range of palettes. There was two all matte palettes. One was warm toned, one was cool toned. There was a larger all matte palette that included both warm and cool tones. And then there was the all shimmer palette, the Garden of Stars palette. That caught my eye, that drew me in, that I knew I wanted. But I did not just pick up Garden of Stars, I also picked up one of the all matte palettes. Now I picked up the Volume 2 Imperial Face and Eye palette. Now this is the all matte cool toned palette, and I have to say, I have feelings. Now this is the look that I will be doing for you on camera, and I will say, this formula, so good. Blend Bunny does not disappoint when it comes to their formula. And like with mattes, I'm just like, oh, mattes, you know, no, I don't care, right? A matte is a matte is a matte, but that's wrong. That is so very wrong. And this palette will prove it to me, okay? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be saying that much. Oh, the formula is so good. But this is one of the palettes that we're gonna be using in today's look. I just love cool tones. It's just, we're getting into fall. I just want something a little more cool toned. Just the purples and the like auburns and the rich, like deep fall colors are my vibe. So I really like this color story for a matte palette. But the palette that really caught my attention, that made me place the order, okay? If this palette did not exist, I would not have bought the other palette. But it's definitely the Garden of Stars palette. So here is the outer packaging, and I will say I did have one eyeshadow break in transit. It was really easy to push back in. It sounds like a lot of people had that issue though. I think Blend Bunny put out a statement saying, hey, like we understand that sometimes things get broken in transit, but with this formula, it's really easy to just press it back in. And if you couldn't tell, it's this beautiful green color that got a little bit broken, but this is the Garden of Stars palette, and it is an all shimmer palette. It's gonna just pair so nicely with that all matte palette, am I right? Maybe, we don't know. We do know because we did a look. I was just stunned by this palette. I have always been a fan of Blend Bunny. I'm just gonna say that. I love Blend Bunny's formula. I love their palettes. I like the color stories quite a bit. I think they're always fun and unique. Not always for me, but a lot of them are. And this called my name, okay? The all shimmer palette. Now, we did just review not too long ago an all shimmer palette from Adept Cosmetics, and I was a little disappointed in that one. And the main reason that I was disappointed was that I felt like the shimmers all kind of blended together, and it was really hard to discern between the different colors. They were all beautiful. They all had a lot going on, but they all kind of just looked the same on my eye. I don't know, something was missing. So I'm really hoping that we don't run into that with this palette. It looks beautiful. I love Blend Bunny. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we're about to find out. I'm not gonna do swatches in this video. I think I'm just gonna go in blind and see what happens and do this look. So I've started by priming my eyes with my Guerlain Eye Stay Primer, which is one of those products that I don't think you can get anymore. And I only think that because I got it for like 75% off, and I feel like Guerlain typically does not go on sale unless it's going out of stock. So might not be available anymore, but it is really good. I think I am gonna start by going into the Imperial palette, and I love this color right here, Conscious. I love purple. That is a well-known fact here. And in order to prevent my cat from scratching up my new chair, Hunter will be joining us on my lap. So If you see a tail, it's probably his. I've been seeing a lot of halo looking eyes lately, and I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to start by putting it out in the corners and the inner corner of my eye. And I'm trying to do this with a cattail very much getting in my way. And I think I'm gonna go into Deception, this darker plum here, to deepen out the very corner of my eye, give it a little bit of depth in the corners there. I've also decided to take Deception and put it under my waterline, just halfway. I think I want to go into Glimmer here. I think that's going to be the perfect color for just in the middle. And I think what I want to do is I want to put down some glitter glue first and then put that on top. And I think right above Glimmer, I'm going to go in with Luster right here. I ended up going back into Luster, putting some in the inner corner of my eye as well as underneath the waterline, and I think that's it. I think that's what I want to do. I kind of think this is perfect. Lately, the looks I've been doing haven't been overly complicated, but I kind of just like that. I'm in my like easy vibe, you know? I want it easy, I want it pretty. This was easy and pretty. Well, it's not done yet. I'm gonna go put on some eyeliner, let my cat out of the room, and then we'll come back and talk about the look. Okay, this is the final look. What do we think? It was so easy. It was so easy, and it's so beautiful, and it's kind of perfect. It's everything that I want in a look. So really happy with how this look turned out. I do want to do one more thing before we talk about these palettes, and I want to see if we can make any of these work as highlighters. Okay, I like to do this every now and again because sometimes some of these make great highlighters. Now the thing is, I think the shimmers in here are going to be a little too chunky for what I like as a highlighter, but we won't know that until we put it on my face. I'm going to spray my brush with some setting spray, and we are going to go into, I don't know, I like the icy white ones. So we're going to go into Alloy today. Okay, pretty chunky shimmer in here, I will say. So not what I would typically go for when it comes to a highlighter, but not bad. Really, it's not bad. It's not like, you can't tell it's super chunky. The chunks are in there. The like big pieces of shimmer, definitely in there. But I actually think it's really pretty. Now, would I do it again? Probably not. But it works for this look, okay? So let's talk about my final thoughts about the Blend Bunny and Ellis collaboration part 2. So let's talk first about Volume 2, the Imperial palette. Now again, this is the all matte palette that leans more cool tone. So this is exactly what I like when it comes to neutral mattes. A lot of cool tones, a lot of things to work with, very easy to blend out. This formula is amazing. Now, when I first opened this particular palette, I was like, I did not need that palette. I don't need it. But then I used it on this look, and just the colors, they just blend so beautifully. The formula is very soft, very pigmented. Again, it was just really easy to blend out and use. We got a little bit of fallout, but nothing too dramatic. And it's just a really beautiful formula. And again, I like this palette because it works with so many things. It's gonna work with any shimmer or darker palette that I have in my collection. This is a palette that I would pull for if I did have a really dark palette that I needed something a little bit lighter, because I don't like to go too dark with my eyeshadow. I just feel like it ages me. So I like a little bit of a lighter neutral to kind of blend everything together, you know? And I think this is a great palette for that. Now, again, if you do have a bunch of neutral mattes, neutral cool tone mattes, you probably don't need this palette, but if you are looking for a palette that is similar to this is fantastic in terms of formula. It's just a really beautiful formula. Now, the whole reason I got the matte palette was to offset the Garden of Stars palette. Now, I was not disappointed. I know. At first, I was a little disappointed because one of them came broken, but you know what? I don't care, okay? These shimmers are so beautiful and they just go together so well. This is a really well-crafted palette in terms of color story. Like, I just feel like I could use any of these colors together and the look would be perfect. It would be perfect. Now, I talk a lot about not loving toppers. This is probably an exception to that rule. Okay, toppers are not my favorite. And when I say toppers, I mean shimmers that aren't really pigmented. They don't have a really dark color base. It's mostly shimmers that look better or best when they're applied on top of something else. They don't stand alone. I don't feel like that's the case here. I feel like these could stand alone really well. They're pigmented enough that we're getting a little bit of a variety. This color here, I'm just gonna swatch the one that's broken because as I was pressing it back together, I realized how beautiful it was. It is sheerer, right? It's definitely sheerer, but it's beautiful and it's got this unique color that I think is gonna be easy to discern amongst all the other colors. You know, they're not all gonna blend together and look the same. I think they're all gonna stand out. Now, I also, I do wanna, oh, see, that is pigmented. And then let's take a look at this one, Lucid. So again, like these are half pigment to them. They're not the most pigmented except for that blue one, I would say. The blue one is fairly pigmented. We've got some really pretty color on that blue one, and that one is Vitality. So that's really gorgeous. But again, with the lighter blue one, we're seeing kind of the same thing where it's a little bit more sheer, little bit lighter, but still an individual color that I don't think will blend in with everything else and kind of turn into just one monotonous color. You know, I always like to admit when I have a little bit of a bias for a brand, and I do have a little bit of a bias for Blend Bunny, and that's just because I love their palettes. I've always loved their formula. I've always found their palettes to be really creative and the color story is really fun. It's just a fun brand. Plus, it's an indie brand, and I love supporting an indie brand when I can. And they just make really quality makeup. Like, it's really good eyeshadow. So, was not disappointed with this collection. I know this is a little bit of a fast review. If you'd like to see me do like another look or something with this palette or palettes, let me know your thoughts. I think I'm gonna end it there. I think this is gonna be a shorter video. I love them. I don't know, I don't have that much more to say, except I think this was a great launch. I think these palettes are beautiful. I love that they did a warm and a cool tone matte palette. I think that was fun. And as someone who is a cool tone girly, love that. Blend Bunny is so creative, and Ellis is clearly very talented because these palettes are just pieces of art. They're beautiful. So yeah, that's my opinion on them. I'm glad that I bought these. And I would love to know your opinion. Let me know what you thought about this collection when it launched. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.